Somewhere in your refrigerator right now, there is a green shaker can or a plastic tub of grated cheese, and a chunk of what is sitting inside it did not come from a cow. It came from a tree. Powdered cellulose is wood pulp, ground down until it looks and feels like fine white powder. Cheesemakers add a little of it to keep shreds from clumping into one sad brick in the bag. Used the way it was meant to be used, at a small percentage. That is a normal part of how packaged cheese is made. The trouble starts when a company stretches that small percentage into a much bigger one, on a label that still says 100% cheese, and charges you cheese prices for it anyway. Tonight we went through federal court filings, laboratory tests, and Food and Drug Administration warning letters to expose 11 of the worst offenders in the grated and sliced cheese aisle. The companies caught patting your Parmesan with tree fiber and calling your sandwich cheese something it legally is not allowed to be called cheese at all. Stick around, because by the end we are also handing you 5 brands doing this honestly, and a short lesson in reading a cheese label so none of these 11 tricks can ever catch you off guard again. Let's start with the worst number we found. Number 1. Essential Everyday, the store brand sold by Albertsons and SuperValu. When Bloomberg sent store-bought Parmesan out for laboratory testing in February of 2016, Essential Everyday's 100% grated Parmesan came back with 8.8% cellulose sitting inside a product that legally still said 100% on the front. That is more than double what most cheesemakers consider a normal anti-caking dose. You were paying Parmesan money for a shaker that was, by weight, closer to 1 part wood pulp for every 11 parts cheese. Number 2. Castle Cheese. This Pennsylvania company sold cans labeled 100% grated Parmesan that, according to Food and Drug Administration investigators, contained no Parmesan at all for roughly 30 years. Investigators who inspected the plant in late 2012 found the company was blending in Swiss, mozzarella, and white cheddar trimmings alongside cellulose and starch, then shaking it all into a can that said Parmesan on the front. The Food and Drug Administration sent Castle Cheese a formal warning letter dated July 11, 2013, laying out the adulteration in writing. In 2016, a company executive pleaded guilty as a responsible corporate officer to aiding the sale of adulterated and misbranded cheese, facing up to a year in prison and a fine as high as $100,000. 3 decades of a shaker can with a lie printed right on the label, and the plant kept supplying other store brands the entire time. Number 3. Walmart's Great Value Grated Parmesan. The same Bloomberg lab work that caught Essential Everyday found 7.8% cellulose sitting inside Great Value's 100% Parmesan. A shopper named Mark Moschetta sued Walmart over it in New York, and a separate laboratory at the Center for Dairy Research in Wisconsin confirmed the same result independently. That is not one lab's opinion. That is 2 labs agreeing your grocery store's biggest cheese brand was closer to 1 part wood pulp in every 13 than it was to 100% anything. Number 4. Kraft, on its 100% grated Parmesan. Bloomberg's testing found 3.8% cellulose here too, a smaller number than Walmart's, but still a real one sitting under a 100% claim. Kraft and Walmart were named together in a wave of lawsuits that the federal courts eventually rolled into a single multi-district case. And in 2018, the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals overturned an earlier dismissal, ruling that a reasonable shopper genuinely could be misled by a 100% label sitting on a can that was not 100% cheese. One of the biggest names in American groceries, and a federal appeals court still had to step in and say the label could be a lie. Number 5. Target's Market Pantry Grated Parmesan. Records reviewed by the consumer watchdog Truth in Advertising show Market Pantry was supplied by the same Castle Cheese plant that was already under federal investigation for selling Parmesan with zero Parmesan in it. 2 separate class actions, filed in Pennsylvania and Massachusetts in March of 2016, accused Target of the same 100% claim on a can that was never fully Parmesan to begin with. Both cases were eventually rolled into the same multi-district litigation that swallowed Kraft and Walmart. So the question is not only what was in the can, it is why a major national retailer kept buying grated cheese from a supplier the federal government was already building a fraud case against. Number 6. Publix on its 100% real grated Parmesan and Romano. A class action filed in August of 2016, reported by Top Class Actions, accused Publix of purposely adding cellulose to its cheese, while the front label told shoppers it was real. Laboratory testing cited in the filing found what the complaint called a substantial amount of cellulose sitting inside the blend. Publix has a reputation for being the nicer grocery chain. The lawsuit says the shaker on its shelf played the same trick as everybody else's. Number 7. Velveeta. Under federal food law, Velveeta cannot legally be called cheese. It sits in a looser category. The Food and Drug Administration calls pasteurized prepared cheese product, a tier with no minimum cheese content at all. Its own ingredient panel lists canola oil, milk protein concentrate, and maltodextrin sitting alongside the milk, meaning the orange block in your refrigerator is built from more than just melted cheese and water. The brand has never hidden this on the label. What it has done is let 2 generations of shoppers keep calling it cheese anyway. That's 7 down. If you're still watching and finding this useful, leave the number 7 in the comments below, just so we know you made it this far with us. And if you have not subscribed yet, we would really appreciate it if you hit that button and rang the bell so you never miss one of these breakdowns. Now let's get back into it, because the next 4 names hit a different part of your kitchen entirely, and the very last one on this list is a name your own grandmother probably trusted. Number 8. Kraft Singles. These individually wrapped slices are legally required to carry the same pasteurized prepared cheese product label as Velveeta. And for the same reason, they fall under 51% actual cheese by weight. The Food and Drug Administration forced Kraft to drop the word cheese from the front of this exact product back in December of 2002, after Kraft swapped in milk protein concentrate, an ingredient the agency said did not belong in a product still calling itself processed cheese food. Kraft complied by quietly renaming the product instead of reformulating it. The slice inside the wrapper never changed, only the fine print. Number 9. Sargento shredded cheese. According to reporting from the food journalism outlet, The Counter and Sargento's own ingredient panels, the company uses powdered cellulose and potato starch as anti-caking agents on its bagged shredded cheese, the same wood-derived filler that got Walmart, Kraft, and Publix sued over their Parmesan. Fine white dust coating every shred in the bag is not cheese settling. It is the anti-caking agent doing its job. The Counter's reporting also noted that regulators have found large amounts of cellulose add little but bulk to a product, and can, in large enough quantities, have a mild laxative effect on the body. Sargento is one of the biggest names in the shredded cheese aisle, and it is running the exact same additive that turned into a courtroom problem for its competitors, just on a product nobody thought to lab test the way Bloomberg tested the Parmesan cans. Number 10. Kraft Deli American. According to the Environmental Working Group's Food Scores database, this deli-style slice is built from real processed cheese that gets remelted with added water, sodium citrate, sodium phosphate, and sorbic acid as a preservative, along with paprika and annatto for color. The Environmental Working Group flags both phosphate additives in the panel as ingredients of moderate concern, and lists the product as carrying about 1/5 of the Institute of Medicine's full daily sodium recommendation in a single serving, a number that can add up fast if this is going into more than one sandwich a day. This is not a wood pulp story. This is a story about a cheese slice that was already cheese, then got watered down and chemically restabilized before it ever reached the deli case. Number 11. And this last one might be the name that surprises you the most. Land O'Lakes Deli American. Its own product panel lists milk protein concentrate, sodium and potassium phosphates, tricalcium phosphate, and lactic acid sitting inside what is sold behind the deli counter as a pasteurized processed cheese product, the very same non-standard legal tier that let Kraft Singles and Velveeta off the hook for calling themselves real cheese. Land O'Lakes built its entire brand identity on a farmer-owned dairy cooperative and a wholesome butter maiden logo shoppers have trusted for generations. But when a butcher counterworker hand slices from that Land O'Lakes block and drops it on your sandwich, federal law does not require that slice to meet the actual definition of cheese at all. Every single name on that list, the wood pulp shakers and the watered-down slices alike, exists because federal law leaves a door wide open. Regulators set a real 51% cheese floor for a tier called processed cheese food, but manufacturers simply moved their weakest products into a looser, non-standard tier that carries no cheese floor whatsoever, and put the word cheese on the label anyway. After everything you just heard, you are probably wondering if there is any real cheese left worth trusting. There is. It is time to restore your faith a little, because these next 5 names earned every bit of trust we are about to hand them. 1. Parmigiano Reggiano, carrying the official protected designation of origin seal, the letters DOP, stamped right on the rind. Real Parmigiano Reggiano is made from exactly 3 ingredients: raw milk, salt, and rennet, under rules enforced by Italy's protected designation of origin system. Every genuine wheel is stamped around its entire rind with the words Parmigiano Reggiano spelled out in tiny pin dots, along with the dairy's identification number and the month and year it was made. If the rind on your wedge does not carry that pin dot stencil, it is not the real thing, no matter what the label promises in English. Tillamook's sharp cheddar, sold as a block. Tillamook's cheddar is built from milk, salt, cultures, and enzymes, nothing else. And in the 2024 World Championship Cheese Contest, its sharp cheddar took home best of class with a judge score just shy of a perfect 100. This is a grocery store brand, sitting on the same shelf as everything on our blacklist. Beat out boutique cheesemakers from around the world, using nothing but the ingredients cheddar actually needs. Cabot Cheddar. Cabot is a farmer-owned cooperative based in Vermont, meaning the dairy farm families themselves own the company, not a distant food conglomerate. In 2026, Good Housekeeping named Cabot Cheese Products a Snack Awards winner, recognition that came from an outside panel, not from Cabot's own marketing department. When a brand is owned by the people actually milking the cows, the incentive to pad the product with wood pulp mostly disappears. Organic Valley Grass Milk Raw Cheddar. This cheese is made from the unpasteurized milk of cows that eat 100% grass and hay, never grain, and it carries full United States Department of Agriculture organic certification. The ingredient list is exactly 3 items long: organic grass-fed milk, sea salt, and a vegetarian enzyme. It is aged a minimum of 60 days before it ever leaves the creamery, and it costs more than a shaker can of anything on this list. After everything you just heard about what the cheap stuff can actually contain, that price difference starts to look like exactly what it is: the cost of knowing what you are eating. Buy a block and shred it yourself. A solid block of real cheddar, Parmesan, or mozzarella needs 0% cellulose to stay fresh, because it is not sitting loose in a bag waiting to clump. A box grater and 5 minutes at the counter gets you shredded cheese with nothing added at all, and it usually costs less per pound than the pre-shredded bag sitting right next to it on the shelf. It also melts better, because there is no starch fighting the milk fat for control of the pan. Now, for the part we promised you at the beginning, a quick lesson in spotting real cheese before it ever reaches your cart. First, read the ingredient panel before you read the front of the package. Real cheese has 3 or 4 ingredients: milk, salt, cultures, and sometimes rennet or an enzyme. The moment you see cellulose, modified food starch, milk protein concentrate, or a string of sodium and potassium phosphates, you are no longer holding straight cheese, no matter what the front of the package says. A long panel is not a red flag by accident. It is the plainest, cheapest way this industry has to tell on itself, and almost nobody stops to read it before it goes in the cart. Second, learn what the legal words actually mean, because the industry is counting on you not knowing. Processed cheese food is required by federal rule to be at least 51% real cheese. Processed cheese product and prepared cheese product carry no such floor at all, and a company only moves a product into that looser tier when it can no longer meet the stricter one. Seeing the word product instead of cheese on the front of a package is not marketing language, it is a legal admission. Third, look for the proof marks the industry cannot fake cheaply. Parmigiano Reggiano has its pin.rhyme stencil. Certified organic cheese carries the actual United States Department of Agriculture organic seal, not just the word natural, which means nothing under federal law. Do the math on price per pound before you grab the shaker can. A block of real cheddar or Parmesan, shredded at home, almost always costs less per pound than the pre-shredded or pre-grated version sitting beside it, because you are no longer paying cheese prices for the wood pulp mixed in. Do that math once at your own grocery store, and you will likely never buy the bag again. Fifth and last, trust a real melt over a shaker can every time. Genuine cheese melts smoothly and pulls into strings. Cheese loaded with starch and cellulose tends to melt in a grainy, uneven way, because the filler does not melt the same way milk fat does. The next time you are standing over a hot pan, let your eyes tell you what the label would not. So the next time you are standing in that aisle, you know which words on the label are a real promise and which ones are a legal loophole wearing a costume. You know why a can that still says 100% might not be. And you know exactly which 5 names on this list earned the right to sit in your cart without a second thought. None of this means every piece of cheese in your store is out to get you. It means the industry has spent decades counting on the fact that shredded cheese looks the same no matter what is actually mixed into it. And most of us were never given a reason to look any closer than the price sticker. Now you have 11 very specific reasons to look closer, and 5 honest brands to fall back on when you would rather not think about it at all. If this video opened your eyes to something you had never really thought about before, share it with somebody who still needs to hear it. And if you have not already, go ahead and subscribe, because we will be back soon uncovering the hidden truth behind another everyday food sitting in your kitchen right now.